A while ago I made a spotlight video for LA Modern Percussion, covering its strengths and weaknesses. Some may have felt that I didn't quite like the library and that I thought it wasn't really worth the price. On the contrary, LA Modern Percussion is actually one of my personal favourite percussion libraries. It's the kind of library I totally get and I feel empowered while using because it's my style of library. But it's still a niche library. The reason is because of the no round robin approach. The main ensembles have a decent number of velocities and round robins, but the library places focus on providing every ensemble and solo instrument with 25 single hit velocities that can be played separately across the keys, or played with the velocities spread out between two velocity sensitive keys. This essentially allows you to play the instrument as usual and still get a natural responsive sound without machine gunning. This is the knife edge that LA Modern Percussion rests on. The library itself has some of the best recorded percussion in any library. The clear transients and natural tone of the drums are, in my opinion, far more superior in sound and liveliness than libraries like Metropolis Arc 3, HZ Percussion, and many other cinematic percussion collections. The dynamic layers are more consistent and disciplined across the range. The mic selection is more robust. The scripting is more flexible and offers more freedom of control over the instruments. The looseness knob is something that most expensive percussion libraries don't have, which allows you to layer solo patches and create custom ensembles with human timing, an absolute necessity for playing solo instruments as an ensemble. The provided mix presets are top quality, provided by Alan Mayerson himself, but it all rests on a knife edge. The person using the library has to know exactly what they're doing and they have to have an instinct for percussion. In other words, this library can be played or programmed incorrectly and sound like a bad library. Or it can be the best percussion library you've ever used with correct playing and programming. This knife edge is what makes the library so polarizing. That's why my spotlight video was critical of the lack of round robins overall. This is not a library I can just recommend to anyone. A lot of my viewers are either guitarists or piano players and rely on libraries with plenty of alternate samples, which lets them program realistic percussion parts much more easily. But now, in this video, I'll be relating to those of you who either know how to work with this kind of library or who are open to learning how to use this tool effectively. I'll be providing all of my preferred mix patches for the instruments as well as custom ensemble patches of my own, which can be downloaded at the link in the description and will work in the full version of Kontakt 6. Now let's focus on these dynamic hits patches because they're really the only patches from the library I use. The high F and G keys are the split dynamics keys, which contain velocities 1, 3, 5, 7 and so on for one key, and velocities 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on for the other. Playing these keys with the left and right forefingers yields a left and right round robin variation essentially, while your natural variance in velocity as you play will cause the dynamics to slightly fluctuate, creating a natural sounding varied performance. The random velocity control here basically allows you to simulate this variance in dynamics by a custom amount, so that you'll get a similar sound if you're programming fixed notes as opposed to playing them on the keyboard. I personally have this off because I prefer to dictate the fluctuation with my own playing and shape it further with the MIDI roll later on if I need to. If you want to do this as well, spend some time playing these two keys over and over at the same dynamic while attempting to add in more or less pressure on the keys as you go. This will give you a feel for how each instrument's dynamics react to your playing, and you'll get more familiar with them as you do. Also keep in mind that certain ensembles, like the bass ensemble, Surdo ensemble and Dumbek ensemble, require more conscientious playing due to each hit having more of a recognisable sound with repeated notes. Whereas instruments like the dikos, solo toms, rototoms and solo surdos can fool the ear easier with their consistent tone and can be played a lot more aggressively without noticeable machine gunning. If you're having trouble getting certain instruments to yield a varying sound, play your patterns left to right, then switch over right to left. Here's an example where the right finger is always leading with the eighth notes. If I instead switch between right finger leading and the left finger leading, it'll break up the recognizability of the pattern, like this. You can use this technique for repeated 16th notes with the accent on the 8th note as well. Here's accenting only with the right finger with the soft notes on the left finger. Which gets repetitive. Using a soft hit and an accent on each key like this, breaks up the repetition. The key is to space out your hits and dynamics evenly between the keys and to alternate which key leads to create the largest gap between sample hits. It's basically like optimizing your desk space or cupboard space to fit the most in without anything getting pushed away. Finally, using the solo instrument patches, or spot mics in an ensemble patch, and setting the looseness of each patch to 5, 10, 15, 20% and so on, will allow you to create an ensemble sound with natural variation in timing. Combining instruments like this is a great way to fool the ears into missing repetitive patterns, because each sound will fight for attention and won't hit at precisely the same time as they repeat. This allows you to easily play almost any combination of patches while hardly ever noticing any sample repetitions. Essentially, this library relies on little playing and patch tweaks to create the illusion of non-repeating notes, while simultaneously offering consistent single hits that load almost instantly on a patch. That's what makes it both genius, but also prone to dead results if used incorrectly. The power lies with the composer. To close up, I'll run you through my custom ensemble multis to give you an idea of the kind of flexibility and sound this library has the potential to offer. hope this gave you some perspective on LA modern percussion, and I hope my patches prove useful. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a patron and getting access to my chill time videos where you can watch me play different libraries and rant about nonsense. Or you can buy an album at Bandcamp for dirt cheap. And that's that. I'll see you next time with more libraries. Check you later.